Shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Hello all, Sara Dietschy rhymes with peachy here. I want to vibe code a Pinterest clone. Pinterest for studio setups and A-roll shots. I know, it's super niche, and I know it might sound ambitious, but I already vibe coded the UI and I think it looks pretty good, right? I'll dive deeper into that soon, but first, for the few people who clicked on this video that don't know what the heck vibe coding means, yes, it's kind of cringe, and I'm sure some of you are tired of hearing about it, but it's actually a useful shorthand. From the words of Andre Karpathy, former director of AI at Tesla, an OpenAI co-founder, and founder and CEO of the term vibe coding.
Anyone has heard of vibe coding?
Well, the infamous tweet states, "It's where you fully give in to the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists." I ask for the dumbest things, like decrease the padding on the sidebar by half, because I'm too lazy to find it. I accept all, always. I don't read the diffs anymore. I actually don't even know what that means. I don't know what diffs means. When I get error messages, I just copy and paste them in with no comment. Usually that fixes it. I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy and paste stuff, and it mostly works. Iconic tweet, honestly. It has spurred so much. So, TLDR, vibe coding is just using AI to code. Not coding with AI, like auto-completing lines, but to let AI completely take the wheel. You're using these vibe coding tools like V0, Replit, Lovable. You type what you want from your web app to do in just natural language, and the AI tool just does it. Most of the time. It sounds amazing. It sounds so simple and easy, right? Well, so far it's actually been pretty easy and I'm having so much fun, but I'm definitely going slower than what all of the, podcast bros and Twitter bros lead on. You're supposed to be able to build a fully functional web app in a weekend and make millions. Not there yet. It's been 4 days and I just have UI. The toughest part is definitely ahead of me, actually getting the things, connected and working and clickable. So this will be a very, very fun video. Also, for some context, yes, I've been a tech YouTuber for the past 10 years, but I am also a computer science major dropout. I have always been insanely interested in coding and making websites and apps and things, but the way it was taught in college bored me to death. It was awful. The fact that our exams were writing for loops to make a pyramid of asterisks with pencil and paper, not on a computer, drove me absolutely insane. I wanted to actually build stuff. So yes, I'm a beginner. I don't remember how to actually code at all. It's amazing how quickly you lose that. But I guess I'm not a beginner to a lot of concepts and ideas that are important to programming. So I'm also very driven at the moment. I have so many ideas that in the past I just couldn't execute. So now I feel like I can really just try things and actually execute them, actually do them. Well, maybe execute. That's the reason why I'm making this video. Can we build something real here, or is this whole vibe coding movement a total scam? At least a scam for the non-technical crowd. There's some software engineers there who are just, that's me trying to say they're soaring. They're crushing the game. They're making 10 apps a month. Okay, so I am already 4 days into this project. I always look at Pinterest for inspo when setting up a new A-roll shot, but there's so much BS on there, and it's more interior design oriented and not actual A-roll shots. If you don't know what A-roll is, it's what I'm filming right now. There's a person in the shot, you're talking to camera, A-roll for ads, YouTube videos, podcasts. So I'm hoping that studioinspo.com can be the one-stop shop for all things studio setups and A-roll shots. Okay, so I have Studio Inspo pulled up right now in V0. This is my vibe coding tool of choice. I'm gonna run you through it. So obviously right up at the top here, right, we have like a spicy headline. If your A-roll sucks, that's a you problem. Get inspo. On the right here, we have some self-promo promoting my course on how to look better on camera, studio setup, right? Because hey, this is kind of a meta mess, but it works. So you scroll down, and as you can tell, you have the tags right here, the different tags, and as you go over it with the mouse, they highlight, right? And then as you're scrolling, that tag bar stays right there. And then you see the image placeholders soon. These will be different studio setups, so I have the different tags upon the hover. I'm explaining very basic things that, you know, most websites have, but you don't think about it until you're actually making it and specifying it. So, you know, this is version 4 right here. But if we go back to the very beginning, this is my 7th fork of the same project. And in the first one, you could see I have V40. So many different iterations, just kind of going back and forth. I'll scroll my text feed here on the first version of this. It'd be fun. What was like my very first prompt? Let's see. Okay, here you can see my very first prompt. And you know what? I need to show you what V1 was because it's hideous. This part, fun pops of color. No. Yeah, this was the first version. Third version, hideous. Oh my gosh, vibe coding can't solve for taste, you know? I tried to keep the colors and go more designy. This just didn't work. Okay, by version 37, you can tell that we have something that resembles what the final product is going to be. But as you can tell, I'm scrolling and those tag pills don't stick up at the top. And I'm noticing I kind of like the drop shadow here. Okay. Anyways, let me go to the 7th fork here. I'm pretty confident that this is going to be the final design that I land on. I'm noticing that this says studio setup instead of studio inspo, so I gotta change that. But you have to be very granular with what you are asking the AI. You know, it took a few prompts just to get all of these 16:9 images correct, the image placeholders, and then obviously I'm gonna put images in later, and then to have like a promo card here, you know, every 10th image or what have you. And then just getting this infinite scroll down to where, do you see I keep scrolling but you're not seeing the bottom? That infinite scroll took a few prompts. But then UI stuff like podcast, YouTube streaming, editing up here, all of that you know, doesn't take a lot. But for me, I've never identified as a designer or graphic designer, even though I wanted to be like 10 years ago. It's very painful to know it looks good, but to not know how to actually do it in Figma or InDesign or whatever. And so how that manifests with AI and like a tool like V0, I can't just one-shot it with a prompt, right? I have to go step by step. I have to say, hey, that padding is off, change that. Hey, these colors are off. Ultimately, because this website is going to be very content rich, right? It's going to be a lot of photos. I just went with a basic black and white and then the orange theme in the header photos because, hey, there is no room for color on this website. As you can tell, the first iterations just didn't look right. I know a lot of people say to work with ChatGPT or other AI services to plan out a perfect PRD, so you can just paste that into the Vibe Code tool and it can just one-shot the product for you and you don't have to worry about it. But one, I had a general idea what I wanted from Studio Inspo, but honestly, the fun for me is figuring it out as I go. I'm a very visual person, so I don't know if something is going to work or not until I actually see it, right? And going one feature at a time gives me that time to actually think about what I want, and I get new ideas as I go, which can get you in trouble, but has led me to where we are now. So the last part of the UI that we got done here is if you click on the pop-up, oh, that's not right. Those right and left arrows shouldn't be big and ugly. They should be over here, not here. We'll fix that. We'll ask the AI to fix it. Oh, interesting. The last prompt I did ask it to fix it, but it didn't do it. Do they work? Yeah, they still work. So I have a lot of mock data here, right? So if you can hover over the images, there's like a creator Frank, there's the tags. This is how it's going to look once I actually upload content in it. You click it, there's a pop-up. There's so many things that you don't think about until you have to actually like prompt them and, you know, have the AI code them. Again, I have not touched one piece of code since I started. So, you know, we have the creator up here. I'm gonna make this a proper link that you can click on, share, exit, heart button. We got the tags, view count, and then some more self-promo with related studio images. I think I'm going to change those. I need the related studio images to be right under the picture. So yeah, looking at this, there's actually a lot I want to change and so many more things to do. This is usually where vibe coding videos stop, but whether it kills me or not, we are going to finish this from start to finish in this video. So this is 4 days of work, but now we actually have to connect things, but I want to kind of do mini tutorials as I am doing this. So here's the thing that you're going to do a lot with these AI tools, and specifically in V0. It's this concept called forking. Up at the top right hand corner, you have all the different versions. You get a different version every time you prompt the AI. So you can see here I said the code returned the following error, fix it, right? So it fixed it and it said, hey, me fixing this error is in version 2. So you can roll back to version 2 and get whatever the AI spit out. A context window is basically the AI's short-term memory. It only remembers a certain amount of the conversation at once. So as I chat back and forth designing Studio Inspo, in V0 here, eventually that context gets too long and things start to break. So that's when you can fork your project to a new chat to give the AI a clean slate. Let's go back to one of the earlier iterations. Okay, so I went back to my 4th fork, and as you can see, there are 41 versions, and the chat has been going off. Scroll. A lot of back and forth. And as you can tell, look, V41, very broken. What is going on with the placeholders? So here, I rolled it back to, let's see 39, 40. Okay, so I had to go all the way back to V30 to find a version where the placeholders aren't broken. So that means that I went back and forth for 10 different versions trying to solve it, and I just messed things up along the way. The context window just got too long and the AI was just confused. This is when I would fork. So I would go back to V30, I would press fork into a new chat, fork, and then you have the working version of your website without any of the mess, and you're starting a new chat here. Now, of course, you don't have the same context that the previous AI had, so you're starting over there, but it does a pretty good job hopping right back into things. Everything you've seen so far, that was the first 3 days, and on the 4th day, I actually had so much fun, so there needs to be a way to actually upload content, so I made this admin upload situation here. Say I want to automatically generate these screenshots, and I post, 4 YouTube videos to pull the screenshots from, generate screenshots. This progress bar is fake. It's gonna give me the generated screenshots down here. Beautiful, amazing. I'm probably not gonna have time to finish that. Manual upload. This is where I just manually upload the studio images here and then add the tags. Now, I'm not the biggest fan the way that looks like right now, so I wanna tweak that as well. And yeah, this was honestly kind of like a magical and fun experience, just taking nothing and creating something. But I know what I have ahead of me is the actual work, but I'm still optimistic. I think I can get Studio Inspo done in a few days, maybe a week. Okay, let's get it. Hi, hello. Okay, day 5, or night 5, but I've been making little UI tweaks in V0. If I'm talking lower, it's because the baby is sleeping. This is when the real work gets done. Okay, I need to figure out how to connect the tags to the actual studio images that they are being uploaded with. And then, eventually you'll be able to search the tags and find the studio images that way. And then I also don't love how the manual upload UI looks right now. So I need to finish that first. I don't like those tags either, so let's get to work. Let's put the AI to work, because remember, I don't know how to code.
I've been undeveloping my OCD, shipping my anxiety overseas, making.
Okay, so this looks much better than this. I have many more tags now as well. I just asked ChatGPT to give me some tags, and now they are front and center and very easy to click. So you upload an image, you select your tags. I've limited it to 10 tags per photo. And I only got to work on this for a few hours tonight, but beyond just like fixing some UI bugs and things, I fixed the pop-up window arrows. I also did a lot of research just with ChatGPT about how databases work and some more back-end stuff works, because I actually want real content on my website. I want to be able to upload studio images and, see them on my homepage. So I'm going to use a service called Supabase for the database. That's going to allow me to not just store my photos photos on there, but more importantly, like basically their main service, and that is their database, their tables that stores all of the information about the photo, like the tags, the title, the YouTube link. So that is gonna be tomorrow. Okay, today we are talking databases. Supabase. So ChatGPT helped me figure out my database schema. A lot of these programming words are just honestly very intimidating jargon that actually represents simple ideas. So stick with me here, okay? Schema is just a name for the categories of a table. So I need a database to hold all of my studio images in. So I need a table that holds those studio images and their respective attributes. Those attributes, like the YouTube link associated with the studio image, right? That's just gonna be normal text. And then the title of the studio, also plain text. If that's all the data I wanted to store in regards to my studio images, well, that would be the table schema. Or just the schema, that'd be the schema. I know there's developers out there, like actual real developers that are just gonna roast me, but listen, I'm trying to bring this down to like the normals, which is me, I'm still a normal. The Supabase table doesn't hold the actual studio images, but the table does contain the image URL, which those URLs are then associated with the corresponding studio image that is located and stored in a Supabase bucket. So we have a table and we got a bucket for the actual content. Again, that programmer jargon, you know, bucket is just a folder, like a G drive folder. A cool part that I set up here of the table is if the images are a part of a set. So say it's a podcast with 3 different angles, right? A wide angle and 2 close-ups. So each of those images gets the same set ID. This is going to allow us to get those images together, and that's important because this is something I'm gonna do tomorrow, but I want a related studio images panel. I think you guys saw that in the UI. So this is a way that the other images of the set can pop up first in that related studio images part. I also created a view and download counter that is stored in the table. You know, I think this will be interesting for me to see, like, are people actually coming and viewing these things? And then what are their favorite setups depending on, you know, the ones that they're actually clicking on. So the way I did this, a view on the homepage is only worth 1 view in a session. So say you scroll down, you see a really cool Peter McKinnon setup, you keep scrolling, but you scroll back up, you see that same setup again, that's not gonna count as 2 views, it'll just be 1 view. However, if you actually click on the setup, that's always going to be counted as a view because that's like a more intentional thing. Thinking about all these little things is like super fun to me. And the fact that I'm getting the Supabase integration to actually work in V0 it's very cool. In terms of prompting, a lot of these ideas start with me just asking the chat, like, hey chat, what's up? If I upload 3 images at once that are a part of a set, how am I going to identify that they are a part of a set in Supabase? And it will just explain back a few different workflows. And you know, I just select the one that I think is best for studio inspo, and then it just starts coding. I have found that planning and actually talking each problem through with the AI before you start telling it what to do is always gonna be better. Also, I found that when it actually needs a more complex solution, it'll pick a very simple one that just doesn't work. And then when I need a simple solution, it starts downloading 5 different dependencies that I don't need, and then I have to like backtrack completely. So there's been a lot of just like trial and error, and then you start learning and becoming familiar with certain frameworks that you can then reference later on in other projects or the same project. You start to understand what you need and what you actually don't need. An example of this, I wanted to compress the images upon upload, and it just started downloading all of these crazy packages, and I just went with it. Hours later, when it kept breaking, I had to fork the project, and I had to remind it, hey, give me the simplest way possible to compress these images. And hey, it turns out I didn't need that sharp dependency, right? I didn't need all the fancy stuff. And it's funny, it'll actually kind of start to gaslight you. It'll be like, Oh my gosh, yes, you are so right. Why did we go with that last thing? Let's do this. You'll go through 5 different wrong iterations like that, and the AI the entire time is just cheering you on to the wrong thing. Ugh. But the best part about this is you can ask as many dumb questions as you want. It's non-judgmental learning. So we got our Supabase schema set. Check. The table is ready to receive the data and the bucket is ready to receive the images. In order to connect Supabase to our website, we need to set the environment variables that are located right here in V0. I'm saying all this in a very quick manner, but I don't want you to be fooled. It took me a while to kind of figure all this out and troubleshoot some stuff. A lot of copying and pasting errors and whatnot. But now it makes sense. Earlier tonight, it did not make sense at all. Hopefully my little explainer here makes it a little less intimidating. Okay. Day 7. Mistakes were made last night. You know, I was just up late vibing, as they say. And I ordered Taco Bell around midnight. So yeah, I woke up regretting that, but that's fine. Listen, today I need to build the algorithm for the related studio images section below each studio image. So I feel like the first priority should be number 1, is this studio image a part of a set? If yes, put the other images that are a part of that set in the related studio image section. Number 2, are there other studio images from the same creator? So it finds images with the same link, but I want to limit that to only like 2 images because we need to save room for the rest of the related studio images, and that's going to be if they have the same tags. If you're wondering how I think through these things, I have these small sheets of paper that I literally just scribble on, and then I type that into the AI and I'm like, does that sound good? Is there a better way to think about it? And it just makes it. And that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna press enter and we're gonna see if it can do this. Okay, it's good. Ask me questions. Here's another pro tip. If you're tackling a problem that is bigger than, hey, decrease the padding here or change the text there, ask the AI to ask you clarifying questions to make sure it heads down the right path. I'm going to respond to that. It kind of worked. It's good to start seeing images actually down there, right? But I still have mock data, so I still have a lot of data that isn't real. I don't like that we're mixing that with images, so I need to tell it to just get rid of all of that. Okay, if you see here, I'm clicking on one Jesse Driftwood image and it's only popping up one related image when I know he has 2 other ones. So, okay, we're gonna just tell it that. Okay, so I guess it wasn't parsing the YouTube links correctly. Oh, sick. Okay, it's working. Cool. Love it. We love to see it. Yes, yes, yes. Let's go. Caffeine in my veins with the Taco Bell that I regret. Things like this, making a related studio images algo type situation. I think this is really where it helps to be able to not just like think like a programmer, but also being someone with opinions and knowing exactly what you want. That helps. If you were leaving everything up to the AI and I just said, hey, figure out the related studio images, I don't think it would have done what I was thinking of, you know? Like for me, it makes sense. Okay, show the pictures that are part of the set and then also pictures that are from the same creator and then show the tags. The AI probably would have just only prioritized the tags. That would have been fine, but that's not how I would want it to go. So yeah, having opinions, good. And then obviously I feel like I've found having a couple years, you know, doing a comp sci degree in college pays off a little bit. I just feel like my brain is forever wired different, wired to kind of think through these problems, you know? And hey, AI does the actual hard work. So that's why it's so much fun. person. I've been sitting at this desk for like 6 hours straight. Vibe coding is a lie, it's a scam. The moment your project gets into real world, setting it up with like a Supabase database is where all of my problems start. And this is, I think, the limit of V0. I wanted my first project to be completely done in like a vibe coded app to show that it's possible. But the issues that I keep running into are just like insane. Like, this is insane. I'm so defeated right now. Like, what am I doing? I was on such a high 2 days ago because like everything was working, and then it just like stopped. So obviously I am very frustrated beyond just the view and the download counter not working. Just the simple act of uploading an image no longer works. So I really feel like all of my work with the Supabase integration, all of that was all for nothing. I'm feeling so frustrated right now. And on top of that, for some reason, V0's versioning isn't working. So if I go back, 10 different versions ago, I'm still having the same errors that I didn't have 10 versions ago, if that makes sense. My friends, I have been resisting. You know what I've been resisting? I've been seeing it all over the Twitter. Let's say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Claude Code. Totally giving up and chucking your computer off a very tall hill. No. What? No. Claude Code. It's Claude Code. You guys. I got Claude Code installed here in Cursor. It was a little intimidating. It was in the beginning, but I just one-shotted my problem. And now I can start like figuring this out again. Now we're gonna see if I can actually build something meaningful, vibe coding. But now it's Claude Code. Me and Claude Code against the world. Wow. Sorry for yawning at 10 a.m. This is my morning, but I am a changed person after figuring out Claude Code. Truly, just a small little tangent here. Hey, listen, I think there's a time and place for vibe coding, and clearly I'm showing that it actually is pretty cool. But when it comes to running a real creative business and getting started today, well, Squarespace is the only place that you should be doing it. And I've not only been running my creative business on Squarespace for the past 10 years, I'm now using it more than ever. Can I show you? 60 seconds. Let me show you. Y'all know that I've used my Squarespace website, saradietschy.com, to host my brand work and attract sponsors for my YouTube channel here that you're watching right now. But recently I decided, hey, let's diversify a little bit. So I launched Studio Setup. It's a course with over 8 hours of content now and around 44,000 words of written documentation. That's basically a book, and it's just designed to help you look better on camera in a world where content is everything. The course content itself, built on Squarespace. The landing page, built on Squarespace. Custom domain forwarding, so I can forward studiosetup.com to saradietschy.com, which is my all-encompassing website for all of my things. Yeah, Squarespace. You can even buy a domain on Squarespace. Sending the launch email to my email list, automated emails to the buyers of the course, even scheduling for the consult calls. Well, I think you got it by now. Squarespace, all of that with Squarespace. It all just works, and it's so beautiful to have it all in one ecosystem, so I don't have to hop to other platforms to just get my work done and connect with my customers. But also, what about AI? We've been talking a lot about AI in this video. Well, Squarespace has Blueprint AI, which enables you to spin up your own website in just a few clicks with the help of AI, so you can truly get started today. If you're a creative professional and you need a beautiful portfolio online, or you're a business who needs to sell digital, physical goods online, Squarespace is the place to do it. You can go to squarespace.com/saradietschy, that's me, for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code saradietschy for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Back to me finally caving and installing Claude Code, because it's pretty cool, and I'll help you out, hopefully make it a little less intimidating. Okay, listen, for the normals out there, this has a little bit of a learning curve. Just installing Claude Code is a little scary. I'll admit that. Luckily, I already had Cursor downloaded and I had already been playing around with a simple Next.js project to just learn the ropes again, you know, a little rusty. How I did that, I just pulled up ChatGPT and was like, hey, I'm a total noob with this. Give me a sample project, walk me through. And I just kept asking it, what's that? How do you do that? Oh, what does that do? Up until now, it was probably like 8-9 years since I had been in an IDE. For those Claude Code maxers out there that just use it in terminal and not in an actual IDE like Cursor, I get it. You're cooler than everyone, okay? But I'm also trying to learn this stuff alongside AI, right? Okay, so I need to be able to peek inside the files, see what's changing, and also ask Cursor questions along the way so I don't get burned through those precious Claude tokens, because I'm only on the $100 a month Claude Code right now and I'm already seeing its limitations. For the noobs out there who are confused, I get it. I used to be you not that long ago, a few days ago. So let's break it down. Let's start with terminal. Terminal is basically a text-based interface for controlling your computer. That's all it is. I know it looks intimidating. It's how you directly communicate with the system under the hood. So like opening up files, downloading YouTube videos, or running code. To use programming languages on your computer or run programs in terminal, you'll need to install packages. In order to install those packages, you first need to install something called Homebrew. Think of this like the App Store, but for terminal. Okay, terminal, check. What is an IDE? An IDE is a smart text editor built for writing code. So us video editors, we have DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro. This is programmers' DaVinci Resolve, essentially, their IDE of choice. So it could be Visual Code, it could be Cursor. It helps programmers organize files, type the actual code, spot errors, it auto-completes code as you type, and it also integrates very easily with version control software like GitHub. The IDE that everyone is using right now is Cursor, and that's because it is supercharged with AI. You can ask the AI agent that is built into Cursor questions about the code, ask it to generate new code, autocomplete code, or just fix bugs directly in your IDE. Where Cursor shines in a lot of these AI-assisted IDEs is code auto-completion. However, when it comes to creating working code bases from scratch and helping noobs like me that don't know a lot about the actual code, right, it still leaves something to be desired. Enter Claude Code. Think of Claude Code as your super smart AI coder buddy that runs right in your terminal. Unlike other AI coding tools, it can actually understand your entire project structure and create complex working code bases from scratch. It's incredible. Like my experience with it so far has just been very surprising, very delightful, and just fun. I resisted it for so long because it seemed really intimidating. But once you hop in, you start asking it questions, and it starts just creating code and making things actually work, it feels magical. This is one of the few places in AI where the expectations for a product is actually met with real world outcomes. That is rare with AI. It's a lot of buzz. It's a lot of buzzwords. It's a lot of BS, let's be honest. And when transferring my code base from V0, I just hit that download button, downloaded it to my desktop, opened it up in Cursor. You know, I created a local development environment instead of having it all in V0. Claude Code got a handle of it very quickly. So I actually had V0 write out a lot of documentation for me describing what Studio Inspo is. I then copy and pasted that documentation into Claude Code. Claude Code then took that documentation and condensed it into one big mega documentation file, and that's the Claude MD file, which gave me a really solid foundation to then start actually using Claude Code. So you can think of the Claude MD file like your project brief. It's the persistent memory that Claude uses to stay context aware when you're in terminal chatting with it, okay? So it contains, you know, a description of what your app does, what tools you're using, like Supabase and Next.js, etc., and really any goals that you want to achieve that Claude should keep in mind. You can run Claude Code directly in the terminal without an IDE at all. But again, as someone who is actively learning how all of this stuff works at the same time, time, I like to poke around, and so I am using Claude Code within Cursor via just the terminal in Cursor. So I found that to be my best workflow. So viewing the code base in Cursor, launching Claude Code in one terminal, and then launching another terminal to like launch the npm dev, launch my local dev window to actually see the app as I build it and do git commits from that same terminal. Now, I know a lot of people use Claude Code to actually do git commits and to launch the development environment. For some reason, I just could not get Claude Code to do that. And so I don't know if this is like a weird workflow to use having the two terminals, but honestly, I feel like it's just way quicker to do the commits on my own in terminal and not use Claude Code tokens for that. And then there's GitHub, right? If I did a full tutorial on that, this video would be like 2 hours. How long is it already? I'm nervous about how long this video is going to be. GitHub can be confusing in the beginning too, but once you have Claude Code actually set up, this is something that's really easy to just actually ask Claude Code about and have Claude Code help you set up your GitHub from scratch. And then at every step, if you're confused, just ask what it's doing. GitHub is super crucial for version control and for deploying your website later on, so you just really cannot skip this step. Like, do not skip this step. Even if I go back to V0 and start using V0 again, I'm still going to link my GitHub there. I was not doing that initially, just because I don't really trust V0's version control anymore because I was having some issues, but yeah, GitHub. Oh man, this is a lot, right? Once I got everything set up, Claude Code literally one-shotted my issue. It just fixed it. Remember, I couldn't upload images anymore. My view and download counts, they were just completely disconnected. And it was actually a very simple issue that V0 just couldn't solve given the nature of how they integrate with other services and have their environment variables, set up with their little integrations window. So at some point, for some reason, my environment variables, the way you connect to these outside services like Supabase, they got changed. And not the actual like secret keys themselves, but the variable names that you see on the left side. I know so much more now than I did just a few days ago, so much more than a week ago, right? And so now I would have been able to actually dive into some files and check the environment variables, and I would know that that would be one of the first things that I should check. And I could see that, oh, for some reason, V0 just changed those and they don't match up, and that's why Supabase is like broken. But V0 vibe coder Sara from over a week ago that knew nothing, she just kept pounding her head into the keyboard being like, what is happening? I was just in this infinite loop of frustration, copying and pasting the errors, and honestly, I have no idea why V0 just could not connect those dots. I don't know. But Claude Code, easy fix. Off to the races here. So, time to get the categories and tags actually mapped to their respective studio images, fix a lot of the issues around tags in general, add search functionality. I'm using a service called Algolia, I don't know how to say it. You could just hard code search. I was doing a lot of back and forth with Claude Code about that, but I really need semantic search. It needs to account for synonyms, misspelled words, words that are included in the studio image, the YouTube links, the titles, etc., etc. And one thing that I've learned in this process is when to go simple and when to use third parties. Compressing an image, I can do that without that extra dependency. Let's do that simple, right? But search, that's a little bit more complicated. Let's integrate a third-party service and actually let it do the hard work for me. Okay, today's been a crazy day. I think I'm on the Claude Code high. I've been doing a lot, and I no longer have my actually nice lighting. I'm so sorry, because it is dark now. I was gonna try to recreate the daytime vibes for the consistency, but I'm too tired. I added an admin edit page to allow me to edit the already uploaded content, and I love the way it turned out. I forgot to follow my own advice, and I just started telling the AI what I wanted versus like me asking how it would do it and the best way to do it. So my first version of the admin edit page was not good and didn't work and broke a lot. But when I decided to let Claude Code take the reins and just do it how it would do it, it crushed it. I need to do a few more things. Like there's some weird search bugs going on, and my infinite scroll on my homepage is kind of broken. I'm gonna try to get that done tonight. And then guys, I am so close to the end. I am so close dare I say 1 or 2 more days? I don't even, what day are we on now?
I want today to be my last day. I'm finishing this today. We're doing this. I'm so tired. I was up till like 2 a.m. I woke up, hung out with baby, and then took a hour nap, and now I'm here and it's noon and we gotta do this. This is awkward. That only took like 20 minutes. I asked the AI what I should do, and shocker, it implemented it in only 2 tries. I wish I could show my face in this moment because I'm done. We did it. We are on day 13. All right, I'm gonna upload way more studio images, so this is actually an enjoyable website to peruse. Look, I can't believe just the search is working, and it's beautiful. I love the way everything looks. And then I need to figure out how to actually deploy this and make it live and connect, I guess, Google Analytics to it and stuff like that, but I'm gonna do that off camera. I'll see you soon.
Kitty, be quiet. Goodness gracious. I don't know about you guys, but I was getting kind of sick of being in my office. Change of scenery. Welcome to our kitchen. Okay, it's done. Studio Inspo is done. So this video started with a question: is vibe coding a scam? Like most things in life, I think I find the answer somewhere in the middle. This took so much longer than I thought. It took 13 focused days to just actually get the web app part of it done and working. And then it took an additional 2 days to actually get it deployed on Vercel and ready for people to actually visit the site and interact with it, do some extra little SEO stuff, and then an additional few days of uploading more content and just doing very small stuff that you don't think about until you're at the very end. So end to end, I would say it took 3 weeks to get a production ready thing live, 2 weeks to actually do the vibe coding part of it. But is it a scam? Do these tools follow through on the promise? On one end, I'll say, holy crap, this is incredible and empowers me, a person with ideas, to build something out of nothing. Yes, I understand general programming ideas, but I am not a coder at all. So the fact that this actually exists and it's a real site and it didn't die in V0, you know, I think so many vibe coded ideas just die on these websites like Lovable and V0 and they never actually get launched. So the fact that I was able to make something real is incredible. And I would say, yes, okay, you can actually make stuff. It does follow through on that promise. On the other side, I will say this is not a site that I'm asking you to pay money for. I think that question is still left to be answered. Can you actually vibe code a site that is not only functional enough to handle hundreds of real customers, but also the security is legit enough to where it can handle that? Initially, I sent off this website to a few programmer friends on Twitter, and they actually helped me a lot. You know, my authentication to get into the admin panel to upload content was complete crap. They could just like cookie hijack it and say, yeah, they could literally just type in, yeah, I'm authenticated, and they got into my admin panel. So that was solved by just, you know, creating an admin account via Supabase and letting Supabase handle all the authentication. So I think that is just step one. Do not let these vibe coding tools handle authentication. You definitely need to use a third-party service to handle that. But with all of those things, you know, I am learning a ton, and I feel like with each new project, I just come in with such a broader wealth of knowledge just because I have done it before and I've made the mistakes. And so I think the biggest thing that I want to, did I answer the question? No. However, I do think these self-proclaimed vibe coding building platforms are not the answer to building a product from end to end. I've listed the reasons why I love V0, and I think it's a great place to start. And then they have so many services to then deploy your app. You know, Vercel is so much bigger than just V0. So I'm definitely the most comfortable on their platforms. But if you're using something like Lovable or Replit, man, I just think it's gonna take you to a certain point, and then you gotta dive in the deep end, and Claude Code is the answer. I am just blown away by that tool. It's the first AI tool where I'm like, oh, we're living in the future. You know, a lot of time has passed since I started Studio Inspo, and in that time, GPT-5 was just released, and there's a lot of new things, like Cursor just launched a new agent that also lives in Terminal, so they're kind of trying to compete with Claude Code, but Claude Code is still the GOAT. I'm still using ChatGPT in the same way that I was using it last year. It's still useful for me, but it's not like revolutionary, you know, and GPT-5 is just kind of bad. I want 4.0 back. It's interesting that everyone is just talking about AGI and our world is ending, but at the same time, there's a lot of BS that is being shipped. So at the core of all of this is you kind of have to use a filter in what is worth your time and what is not worth your time. And at the end of the day, it's about building stuff that is helpful to people. And so you can be the judge of that for my first little project, vibe coded project here. Is studioinspo.com useful for you? I'm gonna try to keep the images being uploaded, and I don't think this is gonna be the end for me for my vibe coded projects. If I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I've kind of been waiting for a moment like this, and I want to just keep building little things, see what resonates with people, and then choose a few of the projects to really spend a lot of time on. If you're down, like and subscribe. If you need a creative portfolio, if you need to start selling physical or digital goods today, you know where to go. Go to squarespace.com/Sara Dietschy, and you can use my offer code Sara Dietschy for 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. This was so much fun. And again, I am always learning, so if something is wrong about my website, just comment or tweet me. Something going wrong is an opportunity to learn. So I appreciate you guys. Stay peachy. Okay, bye. Seriously guys, please like and subscribe. This video took so long. I can't keep doing this, this is crazy. Videos like this are definitely not sustainable, but they're fun to do every now and then.